This week in PlayStation, we're talking about a Greg Miller-ass game I can't wait to gush about, Janet's favorite indies from SGF, and some burning Spider-Man 2 questions. We'll have all this and more because this is PS I Love You XOXO. She's the game playing, roller skating, marathon running, Janet Garcia. And Janet, after 1 month, you are back on PS I Love You. How are you?
False, even though I don't think anyone actually thought I was gone from the show. I think they just knew I was on vacation and then.
Yeah, but it's been a long time. You know what I mean? Like it's a month and it's and then we didn't have, it was a bunch of reactions and stuff like that.
It was like I left at not the worst time because that's a little dramatic, and like at a certain point you just gotta take your vacations and whatever. But it's like, oh, I missed because of that, and then we had like a staggered time, and it's like a whole thing. Chat's already with the "Are you feeling okay?" I lost my voice at Summer Game Fest. And it started, if you look at the Min-Mass Instagram stories, it's me documenting my descent into madness. So like follow for that if you want to see that. A lot of people were like, for what it's worth, and I wasn't trying to lose my voice, but people were like, I enjoyed watching your descent on Instagram.com. Yeah, it's like every day was a little bit worse. And eventually I thought like, oh, we're like set now. It can't get any worse. And that's not true, actually.
It's still, you found a new rock bottom.
Yeah, like I hit down rock bottom and I just kept on digging. So I'm sounding a little rough, but I assure you I feel fine, which is great. I didn't get sick. I was really worried that me and my team or really anyone might catch a cold or something worse, but like everyone's generally good. My voice is just shot because I talk really loud already. I talk really fast, so I say a lot in less time. Talked for many days straight. And when I look back at my vlog footage, I'm like, look at this great vlog footage from the JW Marriott. It's me being like, hello, like at full volume, like screaming at Michael Hyam to get him on camera. And then another thing too is something y'all might not know. And Greg, I'm sure, well, you might know this as a tall person, Greg.
Sure.
When you're short, people can't hear you very easily because you have to like go all the way up. So a lot of people have to lean down to hear me. So I'm trying to bridge the chasm that is between like me and Greg, even though I didn't actually see you that often, but you know what I mean? Like, and that adds up after a while, but I've been doing very little the last couple of days. I have this show now, obviously, but like, you know, I'm dialing back on like streams and other stuff. I'm still cool to do like some content, but I don't want to like, you know, now's not the time to do a 12-hour marathon stream. You know what I mean? It's like the time to drink throat coat and sit, which I've mostly been doing, except for right now.
We woke up this morning and Blessing Adeoye Jr. was like, yo, I'm not feeling that great. I'm going to stay home. And then I hit up Janet and I was like, listen, you haven't been here in a month. We can do this topic we were going to do, or we can eventually talk about it and instead just drink beers and catch up. So Janet, cheers to you. I see you're open. You got, whoa, we got two things.
So full disclosure, I am drinking non-alcoholic beers, which I know is less exciting, but I drink
do your thing.
Enough for many people at SGF.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hopefully not enough to be remembered for the wrong reasons, but hopefully enough to be remembered as someone that's down to say yes to a shot. But I'm doing non-alcoholic because I still want to have some fun. And also it's bad for like with throat recovery, so that's why I'm like, I'll go non-alcoholic. So I want you to choose what I start off with. I've never had either of these. I got Lagunitas IPA non-alcoholic, and I have Corona non-alcoholic.
Do the Lagunitas, because I'm drinking an Elysian Space Dust IPA, and I almost went with the Lagunitas IPA, but I swung over here instead. And I want to know how they do.
I'm a big fan of the alcoholic Lagunitas, so I'm wondering.
They also do they do a hop water you can get that Jen's had before and likes it a lot.
I've had I might have had the same one. Is it clear?
Yeah, I mean it's water.
No, well then maybe I didn't have it because I had something that was an IPA, but it was clear, which I thought was really odd looking. I've had some of the hop water from some companies before, and it's been good. But yeah,
I saw the chance to just hang out with you. And say hey and pick your brain and see what's been going on. We got a bunch of questions. Of course, people wrote in to kindafunny.com/PSILY, just like you can, to be on the show for free and all that. Cheers, Janet. Good to see you again. We'll go there. Cheers, Janet. Good to see you again.
Cheers. The virtual cheers is always rough, but
always rough. That's why I'm saying moved back to San Francisco. A lot's changed since you were here. A lot of things have gone out of business.
I mean,
maybe your most hated store has gone out of business. Have you thought about that?
Has it?
I don't know. What was your most hated store?
I don't know. I think I liked all the stores fine.
Okay,
I had a good time there.
Fine.
You know, everybody went, everybody chunked. But yeah, good people out there in SF. It's fun to be there when I am there.
Like I said to you on the thing, Jana, in the thing being Slack, you know, let's just throw it out. Let's just throw out the run a show. Let's just hang out and talk. Let's just have a great PS I Love You. We're talking about PlayStation games and the things we've seen.
This is pretty good, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does it taste like an IPA?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
And it tastes more grounded than some of them do. Like I've really been on a non-alcoholic beer kick just to give myself a few more options.
Yeah.
And I've been enjoying the increase in popularity of non-alcoholic options for beer. And this one, yeah, it tastes like regular. You know what I mean? You can still kind of tell, like, non-alcoholic beer kind of tastes like diet soda in a way, where it's like it tastes like the soda, but like something is different. And
something's off. I get it on the back of the palate, the back of the tongue. Something's wrong with this Coke.
This is pretty convincing.
Okay.
Like I don't know, like I'd be intrigued to take a taste test later and see if I can identify the two different ones. It's a beer I drink a lot because Lagunitas, I think, is Chicago, right? Isn't that, are they from Chicago?
No, Lagunitas is California.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so odd. They have a really big presence in Chicago. They have like a bunch of like.
I think they got stuff now there, but I'm pretty sure it started out here on this coast, if I remember correctly. Because I remember when I first got here, I thought I could only. I remember getting there. I'm like Laguni. I couldn't say it.
Yeah, it says California on the side. So
yeah. Anyways, I digress. We're throwing the Bible out the window, ladies and gentlemen, for what PS I Love You could be today, because we're going to hang out and have a little, just a conversation, hang out. But there are some things I have to hit, like thanking our Patreon producers, Casey, Andrew, Delaney, Twining, and James Hastings. Of course, you can go to patreon.com/KindaFunny to get each and every episode of PS I Love You XOXO ad-free. You can watch us live as we record it, like Dropkick Tondo is, Tommy Goodall is, and DG Mayor R. I urge you, if you can, are of age and, you know, have the ability to drink, pop a beer at home. Have some fun. I know a lot of people are listening in a car later. Don't do that. Don't drink and drive. That's stupid. Don't do that. But the other way around, if you have the chance, hang out with us today as we hang out and talk PlayStation, talk about video games. If you like us talking about PlayStation, like I said, Patreon, where you get the ads they get the show ad free. Of course, you can watch us live. Of course, you get a bevy of bonus episodes. You get to watch all the other podcasts, dozens and dozens. I mean, if you went there right now and gave us $10, you get something like 260 exclusive episodes you can find nowhere else, all on patreon.com/kindafunny. But I digress. Maybe you're on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Maybe you're on a podcast server. Wherever you are, like, subscribe, share, leave a review. It really helps, I swear. Today, we're brought to you by Honey, Rocket Money, and thank you to Amazon Gaming and Summer Game Fest for partnering with us for our showcase season. Go to amazon.com/Summer Game Fest all summer long to discover the top new and upcoming games, but we'll tell you all about that later. For now, we're able to do whatever we want right now. We can do whatever we want right now, Janet. So I'll give you the choice, Janet. You know what? I'm not even going to give you the choice. Janet, this is my shot. We're having a beer.
Go for it.
I know it's the most boring question of all time that we all say to each other when we're at a convention, but it's, what is the best thing you've seen? What I want to know, though, Janet, is what is the best thing you've played recently? Because you're usually bringing the indie heat, and you and I are the same person, and we have things. And let me tell you, do I have a game to tell you about?
Oh, my God. From SGF or just in general?
In general. Out now. You can play it right now.
Oh, I wonder what you have. Shumi Comes Home just came out, but I haven't had time to play the full version.
But
I'm looking forward to playing that.
Shumi Comes Home?
Shumi Come Home? I think it's Come Home instead of Comes Home, but it's tough to remember. But it's a little cute little platformer that's kind of similar to Short Hike and Little Gator Game. It's like in that vein, but you're a little mushroom guy. But I guess it's not that. So I wonder what you're going to pull out of your pocket. Yeah, I've got some B-roll around here. Shout out to Barrett.
This is Shumi right here. Like yes, a mushroom. Gotcha.
Yeah, you're a little mushroom guy. And
this isn't on PlayStation yet. Get out of here.
Yeah, I know, but it's like it's coming out, whatever. I was just wondering what it was, because I'm trying to think through my mind palace of what could have been what you are talking about, because I'm wondering. But for recent stuff, I haven't played anything too recently that, oh yeah, chat's right. It's called Smooshy. They had a whole license thing, but they couldn't call it Shumi. Yeah,
that's
I'm getting
funny.
used to it. I'm getting used to it.
Remember, I'm saying you can bring in your SGF stuff. Because there's plenty of indies we all saw at SGF. I'm
going to bring my SGF thing. Have I told you about, can it be just anything, or do I have to check this PlayStation?
You got to check this PlayStation. We're doing PlayStation.
I got Viewfinder's coming to PlayStation, right?
Dude, not only is Viewfinder coming to PlayStation, there's a demo out right now.
And I hear the demo hits, which we played a little bit of it at the show. Like, yeah, Viewfinder, holy cow. I feel like it's really delivering on the promise of how cool it just looks in like immediate trailers. And it plays exactly how it looks, and you can really like mess around and sort of break it in funky ways.
That's Tim was talking about that. Yeah,
like it kind of we're in a tough era right now because again, this isn't PlayStation, but like with a lot of people playing Tears of the Kingdom, it's like you kind of start to see that game everywhere. You get like brain warm for it.
Yep.
And some of the freedom you get in Viewfinder reminded me of that in the sense that like I can build these funky little roundabout platforms using odd photographic assets. So I'm really liking it a lot. I feel like Viewfinder is a game that I saw it and I was like, this looks really cool, but you know, how does it play? And playing it, I only feel more confident about how much I'm going to enjoy this game. So that was definitely one that hit really hard for me. And then I'm double checking the other one.
No, while you do that, I'll talk a little bit about Viewfinder because I know Tim talked about it.
Right.
I've downloaded the demo, but I've been so all night at home. All I do is play Diablo with Jen. And then here at work, I've been playing the game I want to talk to you about. So I'm ready to go, but this is out. What I think is crazy about it is that it's getting like, this was the one Tim was talking about of, anybody who stopped him at the show, he would bring this up, right? I was talking about Alan Wake 2 and how in love I was with that. He was talking about this, and what's one of those things that I love about SGF is it is a chance for these smaller indies to get their time to shine. Of course, this is published by Thunderful, but it's made by Sad Owl Studios. This is their first game. This is the first thing they've done as Sad Owl Studios, and it's like, damn, this looks great.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me too, like I'm also very hot on Alan Wake. Alan Wake 2. It like just looked so incredible.
Did you like Alan Wake 1? Is that a game for you?
No, I tried playing it.
We're the same people.
Yeah, because I tried playing it. Like it was like my first time like playing it ever, and like my introduction to Remedy was Control, and I loved Control. I was like the Control person, like in the IGN office, being like, "Have you picked a game of the year? Have you heard about my Lord and Savior Control?
Yeah.
Have you heard about Jesse?" I love that game, so I'm like, "Oh, Alan Wake." Sure, and I would love to, in a different world, I would have loved to finish it just because I was intrigued by the whole like writer vibe, like that spoke to me, but the gameplay like really didn't speak to me. And seeing Alan Wake 2, I was like, holy cow, what a fun, almost like and I mean this not like pejoratively, but almost like something conceptualized in a dream or that a fan would write on paper, but it would never come true because it's like, oh, well, that's so odd. Like it's like Alan Wake energy with Control surrealism meets Resident Evil 2. And that's like such a cool mashup of things. And I'm really just enjoying like what it looks like. The stress of it feels like a little bit of a lot. My heart rate was elevated watching this behind the scenes gameplay that we got to see at Hands Off at SGF, but I'm down for it. I'm scared by it, but I'm excited to dig into the world. It just seems like absolutely my kind of game. And I feel like it'll be a nice weirdo pick for the year for people. Because is it this year or is it next year?
It's this year. It's this October. It's got a date. It's this October.
And I love, and I think Mike has said this, and this is like a common sentiment, but like I love a spooky game for the spooky season.
Yeah.
Like that's so nice when those line up.
October 17th this year. Yeah, I talked to everybody's ear off on Gamescast about this and a few other places. But yeah, somebody who did not like Alan Wake 1 for the same stuff you're talking about, and I'm talking about it when it was brand new. I remember playing it when I was working at IGN and everybody else vibing with it, not me. Doing the remaster, trying to get into it, thinking I've matured as a gamer and I love horror games so much. Clearly, I love it. Just couldn't do it. And so coming into this, what impressed me the most was that you can see Control all over this game. Like what they learned and what the studio Remedy has become. They're making this game and it's True Detective meets The Outsider. Like it looks so good. It's Mind Hunter when you go in the Mind Palace and connect the strings to the clues. I think for somebody like me that has such a hard time sometimes in games remembering names or taking a break and coming back and like, where was I? What was I doing? The fact you're gonna be able to jump in there and it looks like a supernatural detective game, and I've been looking for a great video game detective story for a long time, and Judgment, it didn't fit what I wanted at the time. I've of course played an LA Noire, but even that eventually got me frustrated. I was tapping the books all the time with my finger. Like,
sure.
This seems like my kind of. I love horror. Everybody knows. I'm excited to get into a game like this. And to the point you're talking about, Janet, like, I wish I had played through Alan Wake. I wish that connected with me. I'm not going to try to force it, but I do want to go back and do the AWE expansion for Control. I never actually did that, and they were like in my demo. I think it was Arthur from Wirecutter was like, is that required reading? Like, do you need to have played the Alan Wake and the Control stuff? And they were like, listen, of course we'd love you to. You'll get more out of it, but no, you can drop in here and you'll be fine to go through and do it. Yeah,
for sure. Like in watching the hands-off gameplay that they showed us, which one cool thing about the hands-off session too was it was hands-off for us, but it was hands-on for the QA guy doing it, which I am always so thoroughly impressed by QA people's ability to do a live demo, because I think that's so stressful, like to play in front of people, and not just play in front of people like the way I do on Twitch, but like you're showing off the game, the way they pan around the menus.
Yep.
Like there's a real like genuine artistry and beauty to the ability to pull that off. And it's funny because like I'm so like, as someone that makes content, you know, I get like in the weeds about like, oh, this is like a tough thing for them to like really get the pacing right. You know, it's like the immersion's broken for me, but then I'm also just like really impressed by people doing things.
That's the thing me and Bless have talked about so many times after SGF now, of like the annoyance to a degree of when we know we're your 30th demo of the day.
Oh, yeah.
And you still do like, what's that? Oh, I didn't see this guy coming. And I'm not talking about Alan Wake 2. They did it very tongue in cheek, where they were like, you know, hey, Remedy's all about cerebral, you know, survival horror. We're not about jump scares. And then as soon as he said it, there was like a jump scare that popped out, and like, you know, I was like, ah, ha, ha. Like they were doing it in a fun way. Whereas other people are like treating you like a 10-year-old of like, what? Why don't you go check that out over there? What's that? Oh my God, how'd you find that? That's crazy. I'm like, all right, calm down.
You know, I didn't really, it's funny, and I wonder if it's like, it got back to PR people that we joke about how, they're always like, wow, you're so good at the game. And they just decided, fine, I'm not going to say anything to you ever, because I was like talking about that with my crew, where they're like, yeah, not a lot of the, wow, you're so smart, like this year round, which I found interesting. Or maybe we were that bad. I don't know. I did play one game where I like played it completely wrong, because that's the point that I was in at the game, where like eventually the people who make the game were like, actually, you're supposed to be doing the opposite of what you're doing.
You're fucking this up bad.
Yeah, for sure. I did play technically a little bit of Oxenfree too, but it just wasn't enough to, you know what I mean? Like to say, like to get it's a story game, so it's like.
But were you intrigued?
Yeah, I was definitely intrigued. The map seemed huge, like for the area. Like it's still the same island, but it just seemed like a lot to discover and engage with. And well,
here's my thing. So let me stop you, because I played Oxenfree 2 as well. Okay. I was intrigued. I finished the demo and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm excited for this. Oxenfree 1 is a weird one for me, that the way the story goes, they had that done way before release date. IGN got codes way before it, and I remember going to a bar with Mitch Dyer, and him and somebody else from IGN were there. We talked about playing it, and it was this thing, or they had played it, I hadn't touched it, and they were like, you don't understand, if game of the year, if this was this year, this would be my game of the year. And I was like, holy shit, fuck, okay. And I went home and had bad PC performance, a bunch of different issues, and I just didn't vibe with it. And I thought maybe it was the PC stuff, maybe it was this. I've gone back since then. It still doesn't hit. I think it's just because the bar was set so high. So coming into 2, I was like, and I finished that demo like, you know what? No, I'm stoked for this. I want to code as soon as possible. I want to. But my question for you.
How much time do you have?
For this podcast?
No, ask your question, then I have my own thing.
My question for you is this the same island? Because it didn't look exactly the same, and then you get to that point where they talk about the events kind of before, and then I thought did you finish the demo?
No, I didn't finish the demo.
The demo has you on a peak looking out at what I thought was the original island, and something happening.
Maybe. It's a little bit, to be frank, I feel like as someone that is a fan of Oxenfree 2, and I'm not trying to like pass the blame of like, you know, generally like, right, you want to look up that stuff. I found it hard to latch on to like what the takeaway point, just the marketing lead up of this game has been a little bit like, I'm excited because it's Oxenfree, but like I feel like I haven't walked away with like a lot of firm understanding of what I'm here to expect. And again, for the purposes of this show, that's entirely on me, because I could go and Google and be really prepared. Yeah. But just speaking candidly as like a consumer and a player and someone in the space, I'm like, I feel like I haven't been able to get like a firm grasp on like what the selling bullet points of Oxenfree 2 are. And I know it's kind of crass to boil artistry down to like sales, but it's like, what am I getting here? What am I supposed to be getting? But the thing I was going to mention to you is, how much Oxenfree 1 did you play, if you had a ballpark?
Oh, I rolled credits. I did the whole thing.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but then I've gone back since then and tried to replay. Like when it came to PlayStation, I was like,
you did? Okay.
I'll go in there and maybe I missed something. Yeah.
I'm shocked that game does not shatter your heart. Like I'm a little bit, did you like get the, like, not that you need to like, you know, enjoy, but did you get like did you break the time loop in the game by chance?
I don't even remember. Like I rolled credits. Like I did the whole thing and I beat it, but like, I know everyone says this is a great game. This is a great game. I find it
so affecting. Like, I think that Oxenfree 1 is like one of my favorite games kind of ever. Like, when that game came out, I'm like, do I want an Oxenfree tattoo? Do I want to make my like, I obsessed over that game. And part of it is too, like, I played it, you know, it's a single player game, but I played it with my brother Edwin, and the game very much is a sibling relationship too. So it was like, but also the game has like so many freaky, spooky, horror. It's like indie Control, with more emotion. Like Oxenfree,
and that's why I keep thinking
so cool.
it honestly feels a lot like Alan Wake, where I'm like, I should do it. I should force myself. I should roll credits.
We got
And
the
it's just
radio
like
and stuff.
there's so many things going on all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
no,
don't
I
know.
feel that. But I'm excited to play it. It just was one of those games that, like, when I sat down to do the demo at the very end of the day, I actually kind of crashed Kit and Chris's appointment. Well, I had my own appointment. Like, I had mine set up, but, like, they didn't have a lot of stations left, and, like, the day was running down on, like, that Friday, and I was like, do we all just want to sit together and play Oxenfree 2? But then as it started, I was kind of like, I don't really want to sit here and play this for this time. And we, like, played a little bit, and then the day was over, and then that was done.
Like,
But
gosh, look at that time. I got to hit that dusty trail. Got to get out of here.
It's just hard for, like, a game like that. Demo wise, like, you put the headphones on, but it's like kind of loud, and it just I couldn't get in the mood. But to your point with the performance, I'm definitely nervous coming into this game. I drafted in my fantasy critics, so I do believe I'm a believer of Oxenfree 2. I put my money where my mouth is.
Hey, and again, from what I played, I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna force replaying the first. I'm just gonna jump in and go because I'm enjoying what I played.
But the thing I want to say that the concern I do have is I love Night School. I love their work, but as you said, Oxenfree 2 was kind of broken when it launched. And after Party, I played that around when it launched. It was kind of rough too. And they're now acquired by Netflix. And I'm like, will this hurt you or will this help you? Will I feel it at all? I'm a little bit... I have Lost Signals drafted. I'm in on Lost Signals. I think it's definitely going to put points on the board. I don't know if it'll be like high points, like 80 plus. But I am definitely nervous for like me. Like, please let this game come out and let it run well. That's my hope. So... we'll see what happens, but I mean, the build that we played, I felt like ran totally fine.
Me too.
I just don't. I'm just crossing my fingers for a smooth launch, regardless of like how it's going to shake out in terms of like where does this land in the pantheon of what Night School brings to the table. Like is it going to be better than Oxenfree 1? Is it going to be like more like Afterparty? Like I don't know, but liking the art direction, liking the vibe, I'm here for it. Ooh, I see you in the chat. But how many negative points would Janet get for counterpicking Liza P? I think I'm going to lose whatever 82 to 84 points is on.
That'd be 14 or 12 points.
I think I'm losing 12 to 14 points.
I think you're losing at least 15.
Good. Bring down that Tears of the Kingdom score. That's outrageous. 35 points on the board for Tears of the Kingdom. Get the
and
hell out of
knowing
here.
that I could have picked Suicide Squad. Always go with your gut. That was my bad. I messed up.
It's funny you talk about SGF stories and playing the game wrong. I had like every press person journalist nightmare where I was playing Cocoon over at the not the Indie Mega booth, the Day of the Devs thing or whatever. And as soon as I started that game, I was like, yep, this isn't a Greg game. Not that it's bad, but it is just very much like, let's do this puzzle to do the thing to get the stuff. Sure. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so I'm playing it, and then I got to the first boss of the thing. And I died over and over. And like I had Greg Rice behind me talking to one of the developers. And I know Greg so well. And he was not holding back. I'm like, oh, he's so close there. And I had the headphones on. I'm like, I can hear you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm fucking this up. And it was just that thing of like, I'm getting in my head and then I'm picking up the thing to smash on the ground to hurt the boss. But on the last death, the one I did it, hurt him from afar, so then I did it from afar, and then that didn't hurt him. It turned out that I was close enough, but I was like, god damn it. You know what I mean?
Rough. Also, I'm salty this isn't coming to PlayStation. It's Switch, PC, Xbox. That's it. Because I was Googling this like 2 seconds ago because I'm like, oh my god, I would love to talk about Cocoon, but it's like not a PlayStation game. But yeah, I'm sure at some point.
Well, just like Rogue Legacy 2 is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to insert news stories that I think are important for you since we're all over the place.
Why
just
not?
hanging out.
Keep it free, keep it funky.
I can't fucking wait, ladies and gentlemen. If you did not play Rogue Legacy 2 on Xbox or Steam Deck, totally understandable. Of course, you have taste. You play on PlayStation. But let me tell you, I'll go into the goddamn gutter to play Rogue Legacy. And I did, and I loved it. And I was like, I can't wait for this to eventually come to PlayStation. It's coming out on June 20th. But the deal gets a bit sweeter, right? Because Rogue Legacy 2 is landing on both the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 on June 20th. What's more, it will be launching straight into the PlayStation Plus game catalog. So extra and premium members can download it straight away and jump in. We're going all out by releasing Rogue Legacy 2 with full cross-buy support for the PS4 and PS5. The game also includes the latest free content updates, the Fabled Heroes and Swan Song, which are packed with additional challenges and exciting new game modes. If that wasn't exciting enough, PlayStation fans, let me give you... That was the post about, Rogue Legacy. Here's a post on the PlayStation blog about PS5 game streaming finally arriving. First off, we have very exciting news for PlayStation Plus Premium members. We are currently testing cloud streaming for supported PS5 games. This includes PS5 titles from the PlayStation Plus game catalog and game trials, as well as supported digital PS5 titles that players own. When this feature launches, cloud game streaming for supported PS5 titles will be available for use directly on your PlayStation 5 console. That means, as a premium member, it'll be easier to jump into your favorite games without downloading them first onto your PS5 console. Our goal is to add this as an additional benefit to PlayStation Plus Premium as part of our ongoing efforts to enhance the value of PlayStation Plus. We're in the early stages right now, and we can't wait to share more when it's ready, including the launch frame. Stay tuned. Now, here are some of the games joining the PlayStation Plus. That where we're caught back up. But exciting that you're going to get that, I think, Janet. Of course, streaming. We've seen Xbox go all in on it. We saw Stadia go half in, and that didn't work out well for them. But Xbox, of course, and xCloud, as somebody who remote plays all the time, and of course, is excited at least to try it for Project Q. I think it's dope that you're going to be getting these games streaming. It'll be the PlayStation Plus lineup. And again, PlayStation taking on Xbox on, I think, one of the bullet point things they have. But again, Rogue Legacy 2, which is a PlayStation Plus game, would then be eventually streaming when this launches.
Now we just need that quick resume and the ability to play games you paid for already. And there we go.
There you go.
And then it's like, then it's all set up. And I guess a couple other things maybe, but like
old game's old. Don't worry about the old part.
I know it makes sense though to like. There are obviously appeal points to just having like options for stuff like this, and clearly they're trying to push for it in the sense that they have this Project Q thing. What's the actual name of it? Does it have an actual
Project
name?
Q? That's what it is right now. Yeah.
That's like a placeholder though they have, right? Like they're gonna drop something else, right?
I mean, you know how it is. You say it long enough, it becomes the real thing.
I don't know. We didn't end up playing the Dolphin.
Project Octopath Traveler.
There it is. Let's drop the project. Now it's a real thing.
It's Q.
I would just call it the PlayStation RP. PlayStation Remote Play. You know what I mean?
It sounds too close to
It's
RIP.
a non-sexy name for an already non-sexy device.
First off, fuck you. I remote play all the time, Barrett. I'm excited for this, all right?
Rip to the RP. The headline writes itself. Like
looking at it? That gorgeous screen shoved in a DualSense? Come on.
Again, it's giving that football I told you guys about before. The football with the game inside of it.
Yeah.
That's what Project Q looks like to me a little bit.
Like, again, we've talked about this before. It gives me the vibe of like what Andy would like make up in Photoshop when we talk about like made up PlayStation hardware. Like this is what that looks like.
Listen.
It's a Wii U gamepad.
Listen. I agree with what you're saying, but I also go, man, I love my DualSense, and man, I want a bigger screen than what my phone does, and that does both. And I'm like, let's go.
It's giving. What if we cut the child in half? Like from that. I didn't say we're throwing the Bible out, but like the Bible story.
King Solomon. He was very smart.
Yeah. You know, I don't think we talk about King Solomon enough on this show.
I agree. Man, what a show for Blessing to miss. But yeah, we don't talk about King Solomon enough.
I know, but you know.
Tell me some of your other favorite Bible stories, Jan. No. Let me tell you about the indie game I teased you about.
Yes,
I said at the top, the Greg Miller ass game. Barrett, this is actually the very bottom in terms of the show that we still plan the way we did, but we're not doing, right? We're talking about Dordon. I am sure I am butchering this for my French wife who's watching. French-Canadian wife. Of course, we're talking about Dordogene. This is that watercolor storybook game that has been in a million different directs, I want to say, and stuff like that. And I remember seeing it and be like, oh, this is totally a Greg Miller-ass game, right? Just the look of it, right? Of like, okay, cool, it's a watercolor painting come to life. And then the story is, of course, you are an adult, you come back to your grandmother's house after she passes away, and you start having memories of a summer you can't remember. And you go through and you choose dialogue and you do this and you make a scrapbook and you take photo. And it's like, yes, 1000%, this is what me and Janet love to do in video games. And I've said that so many times, and then we get the game and you play the game and you're like, didn't nail it. It wasn't good enough, blah, 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 blah. This is when I started, and literally within the first 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, I'm all in. Like, they are doing what I want them to do in this game. And they do. I rolled credits on it today.
Nice.
They do. It is a recommendation for me, Greg Miller, if you enjoy the narrative games Janet and I do. Janet, this is one of those games where I'm telling you, you should go play this if you haven't already, and I want to get what you know about it in a second. Because, it is what we liked about the stories game, right? Of like making the scrapbook and doing the thing. It's not as good as it was there. Oh, sorry, what was that?
No, I just said yeah.
And that's the name of the game, right? Story? Season. Sorry. Making the book there, but like you can't. There's not as many features of like shrinking or enlarging stuff. So you like put a photo down and you put stickers in. And granted, you're like a 10-year-old girl, so maybe that's part of it what they're doing. But like you're making poems based on the words you found, and it's like I really love the mechanics of what you're doing. The story is really touching. It's all the stuff that I'm like, yes. I was unsatisfied when I rolled credits today.
Damn.
But it is one of those things. I didn't collect every letter. I didn't do everything. So, but then
but you shouldn't have to.
I know. I enjoyed the ride. I recommend the game. All yada yada yada. I then of course went to Twitter and or Google and was like, Dordon explained, looking for ending explained. Nobody has it up.
You're
It just
always
came.
Googling stuff that like no one's written on, and then you end up. Did you talk to the developers time too? Did you email them and say like what happened? Yep.
I
Okay,
DM'd him.
go
I
ahead.
DM'd him my questions of like, I get this, but I didn't. I didn't get the trophy for finding all the letters, so that's clearly where I'm screwing this up. But you find letters like gone home, and you do this thing, and I did think it was intriguing piecing together what had happened because it's not only about, the death of your grandmother, but it's about, the fracture in your family and all these things. So it is like, what happened and where's this and blah, blah, blah. You find tapes, Janet. You find cassette tapes that they've done of recordings. And it's like these really, I thought, touching moments between family members and stuff. Like, it doesn't matter that I ended and be like, man, I don't fully grasp what happened. I still have questions. Like, the sad part is, it is one of those indie games that it has a platinum trophy. Great. But it doesn't have a chapter select. Like, nobody told them that was a good thing to add.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm like, well, I don't have time to replay this game.
Walk
Like,
through the whole
I'm
game
not going to go all the
slowly.
way through and figure out what I missed. I will look for other people to get to it. Yeah, Barrett's got my trophy. There's one in there, I guess. But there's one in there. If you look at the trophies, there's one in there that's like a story spoiler. But it would be like, I was like, oh, well, I'm waiting for this. And I definitely thought it was going to go a different way. And it doesn't go the way I thought it was.
Sure.
Don't worry about it if you see it. But I enjoyed myself quite a bit with this. This is one I want you to play, Janet. Have you heard of this?
I have barely. So this is so fun. Also, how long is it?
I had seen somewhere when I started it, somebody say 5 hours.
Okay.
I think that might have been dev math on it if you went and somehow find everything. And I thought I was being pretty thorough because you're walking around, you're finding different words that you can then write poems about. You're finding different stickers to put in your journal. I didn't find all of them, obviously. I did it in 2 sittings. So I played it yesterday in the afternoon and today late morning into the afternoon. So it's 2 sessions, which probably could be 1 if you were just like mainlining, but I don't think it's outrageous. I would probably clock it more at like 4. But like, again,
that's not bad.
I got to the end with 4 hours and I'm like, what the fuck? Who's this guy compared to that guy? What's going on?
Oh my God. So many, sticking the ending is so hard. And that's why like, I'm such a firm believer that you can review anything how you see fit as long as you disclose it to your audience. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I hate to admit, there's something to be said about finishing a game. Like, you do see, it sometimes does hit different. Like, there are a lot of games where I'm like, oh my God, is this like the best thing ever? And then it's like, it's a little bit less than that. It's like,
and that's what sucks is like, when I'm doing it, I wasn't expecting this to be like, oh, this is going to be my top 5 of the year.
Sure.
But I was like, oh, they are getting it all so right. And then I really do feel like towards the end, they introduced a new character and I was like, oh no. And then it became a lot more about that character and then it ended. And I was like, this is all very an abrupt ending that I wish we didn't do.
So it's a little bit less, it's not as cold as it should be, the Corona.
Well, I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, we're opening the non-alcoholic Corona here on Janet's
I left
screen.
it, I
Barrett,
brought
can I
them
get
out at the
another one
same
of these?
time. It's been like how long? Like an hour or 30 minutes. It's been enough time that's not like cold yet anymore. But it tastes honestly very similar to a regular Corona. This is definitely worth, I think, a check out if you like Corona beer because it tastes really similar, and I'm kind of surprised at how similar it tastes.
Jen's a big non-alcoholic beer person too. Like she likes those a lot. She usually does Almanac, which I think's a
okay, yeah. Like hit me with your y'all can text me. People can at me on Twitter, whatever. Like let me know what y'all vibe with. There's a couple brands too that people are like, this is really good, and I'm like, one of the ones I didn't like, but I'll try like a different SKU and stuff. But yeah, that was pretty accurate to what a Corona is like. Back to this game, Dorgon.
I call it the way they pronounce it in one of the things is Dordon. It's French. This is a town in rural France. So this is a French game or whatever, as you saw from the trailer, I believe. I guess I can throw it up. I shouldn't say I believe. The developer's name is like Je ne sais quoi.
I see it. I'm looking staring right now. It's Je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi.
And well, for the publisher, the developer is them combined with Animation.
And they
co-developed.
But that's like the parent group that owns.
Sure, yeah. It's always like which way. But the publisher is them and Focus Entertainment. So they kind of have like a partner for the dev and a partner for the publisher again. Anyway, but this game, interestingly enough, like when you were talking about this and like I saw the B-roll like pulled up on the show right now, I'm like, oh, didn't this come out like forever ago? Because I think I was like mixing it up with a bunch of different games that kind of have similar styles. But no, it's this year game. It's like a few days ago game.
Yeah, this week.
Yeah, so like shout out to you for just digging back in. I'm like, I've just been sitting. Like I haven't been doing anything.
Man. I came back and it was like right on the Diablo grind. We are so into it. Thank you, Barrett.
I saw this
Barrett's got
on my
something
For
to say.
You page briefly.
When I opened the cap, it like kind of spilled over, so it's not like a full beer. So I apologize for all the fizz at the top.
I can never be mad at you.
Thank you. Do you want me to take this one?
No, I got. Oh, okay. Hold on. No.
This is like right up there with like the scene from
I said I wanted to
Seinfeld
hang out with Janet and have a beer. All right.
of them eating the hot dog or before going to the store because it said no food. And he's like, it's okay. I'm just going to run and get batteries. He's like, no, give me a second. Just give me a couple seconds. I can do that. This game looks cool. I'm down for it. You're a wreck. I'll go with it. Again, we've been in the trenches together with these random indie story games.
We have.
Like, I'll never forget. Oh my God, even though I just forgot the name. You know what game I'm talking about?
I know exactly. I was wanted to make the same reference.
Yes. Where the Heart Leads.
Where the Heart Leads.
It's Where the Heart Leads had more of an impact on me than some of your favorite games, and I didn't even really like that game that much. It's just like these things hit different. So I'm down to follow you into the sun on this one. Why not? It looks cool, fairly short. I'll check it out. And yeah, funny enough, this did come across my For You page like yesterday, and I kind of was like, oh, cool. Like a lot of times I see like cool indie stuff. You know, I follow like Wholesome Games on TikTok and a few other like cozy game creators and stuff like that.
And see, that's where it falls in for me.
Oh my God, I forgot the name. I remembered it. It's Where the Heart Leads. And that is not an easy name to remember because it is not very memorable sounding. But yeah.
That's one of the things that I find, back to my point of like, there's so many indie games I love the premise of, the concept of, and then I get there and it just doesn't work. And I'm not even throwing shade at Where the Heart Leads, which I feel is one that didn't deliver, period. Like, we just didn't enjoy that game, but we stuck with it, like, because we were halfway through the bad sandwich. We're just gonna eat the whole sandwich. But I think a lot of, like, Lake. Like, Meg Turney had a really funny...
Oh, man, you didn't like Lake?
It's not... No, stick with me. Meg Turney had a really funny thing today about Lake. She did a cosplay stream for it. And so she came in like she made a little mail truck, like a tiny wheel thing, and came out in a mailman jacket and stuff. And I thought that was hilarious. But it's like, I love the idea of Lake. I love what I've played. I love what I've played of Lake. But what I've played of Lake is still like the first 3 days or whatever, or the first like 3. And it just gets to a point where I'm like still just delivering mail, and I'm like, damn, I love this concept, but it's still not enough game for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's that.
What about Blockbuster Girlfriend? You don't like Blockbuster Girlfriend?
I do, dude. That is like the one thing about that game where I'm like, sometimes I want to go back. I'm like, why was she so bent out of shape that day? One day you show up and she's a total jerk.
Legally Distinct Blockbuster, yeah. Like, Blockbuster Girlfriend, the character has a name that isn't Blockbuster Girlfriend. I don't remember her name.
It's also not Blockbuster. They go out of their way to do a bunch of things where it's like, you know, it's Ghost Chasers or whatever.
Exactly. Legally Distinct, not Blockbuster. But in my stream, that was Blockbuster Girlfriend, and we had a great time together. Even though, we got there's beef and there's drama in that game. So like, stick with it. I don't think it's gonna like, you know, it's not Gone Home, right? It's not like that next level, but it's kind of like mac and cheese. Like, it could be a meal, but it's really more of a side. But depending on how you eat it, it could be a meal. That's Lake. It's like a good bowl of macaroni and cheese, and I love macaroni and cheese.
I do love mac and cheese, and it's that thing where it's like when they put up plushies for Lake, I almost bought one, and I was like, I can't. First off, I don't need another plushie, and secondly, I'd be disingenuous of being like, I really love this game that I've never finished.
Is so real because like people were tagging me, and I don't mind y'all tagging me because like it's cool that you guys know my taste enough to like tag me in stuff that I would want to buy. As much as my budget's like, I don't really got space for this, but I'm waiting on getting that. I want that damn chicory dog. Like, they have that, you get color on them and stuff. I'm like, you know, there's a lot of good merch for indie stuff.
There's a lot of great merch for stuff.
But yeah. I kind of want. Was the Lake one though a plush of the woman from Lake or the mail truck?
It was the mail truck.
What about Blockbuster?
See, they were smart because that's what I want. I want the plush mail truck.
And see, what was sad about it though is that they did it and they didn't hit their fund. They didn't like do enough, so they didn't even get to do it.
Oh.
And I hit him up and I was like, I'm so sorry, and like, you know, we'll try again later. I'm like, okay.
Damn, man.
Yeah. Madeline Stanley, of course, shout out from the JW Marriott bar. Is here and says, yeah, I abandoned Lake because the start was so slow. And again, it's like I have positive memories about it, but I was just like, you know what? I want to know why Blockbuster Girlfriend's mad, but I'm not like so intrigued I need to go more.
Here's the thing. I understand like Madeline saying it's slow because it's Lake is a game that I think resonates best with, and I'm this person, so that's why it works for me.
Sure.
Like, it resonates best with people who, like, do you love narrative stories with a dating undertone?
Yeah.
That also, and did you also love driving the ambulance in Grand Theft Auto? I got a game for you, and it's called Lake. Like, that's That's like, because it is slow. You're just driving a little truck. But like, I love doing that in games. And like when I played GTA, like when we did like the old GTA review of like the games they messed up that they put on one fake disc because it's digital now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the little collection. I was like, look, is this game broken? Yes. Did they mess with the windows? Yes. But it still hits to drive the ambulance around. You know, I still like being the taxi driver. Like that's all, you know, and that's Lake. Lake lets me do that, but it's a mail truck.
That's accurate.
And I love mail. So it's like, it was fun.
This is the same thing I worry about. I like in my core worry about, right? Is that when I left Lake, it's because it came to Xbox first. And I was like, I burned out. I'm like, or I didn't burn out. You know how our jobs are too. There's always the next thing you have to go play for a podcast or whatever.
Sure.
And I was like, you know what? This is a little bit longer. It's a little bit slower. When it comes to PlayStation, that's when I'll really get in and I'll roll credits. Came to PlayStation, the exact same thing happened. I think I made it just a little bit further and I put it down. In the same vein, even though I think it's more of a game, Moonglow Bay. Moonglow Bay launched during paternity leave. I played it on an Xbox, and I eventually put it down. I was like, this is legitimately great. I think these are some of the best cooking mini games I've ever had. I'm intrigued by the story. I love doing the town, yada, yada. Then I got a Steam Deck, and I was like, oh, it works on this. I'm going to buy it on... I bought it, put it on Steam Deck, played more, but stopped again. And now in my head, I'm like, I could go back, because I do think Moonglow Bay is a great game, but I'm like, one day... Just like fucking Vampire Survivors, where I put out that fucking video the other day about Rogue Legacy 2 finally came to PlayStation. Vampire Survivors, you're next. Now Moonglow Bay, you are next as well. Like, you're eventually coming to PlayStation.
Calling your shot. You can't see it coming from a mile away, which is nice, because it's like, yeah, I want more good indies on PlayStation. I think, obviously, there's a whole sector of PlayStation indies and like a team that pushes for that, so I don't want to discount that work. But at the same time, you know, I look across the aisle, and some people are having a little more fun than me. Who are, you know, as far as the indie stuff. So I definitely want to see that come through. Moonglow Bay, which is hard to say.
Hard to say. I'm not that drunk yet. I just want that clear on the record.
Yeah, and I'm not drinking it at all. That's also why I'm like, I don't need a drink. I'm already there. I've been there for like days. Like, I'm good to go. Let's go now. It's ready now.
I was so hungover day 2 of SGF.
Wow. Okay. So 2 things to say. Moonglow Bay, best game I don't care about. I don't know what it is about the game. I can't get myself to care about it. It's so good, and I'm going to try again, but I don't know what it is. Something's in the Moonglow Bay water.
Here's what I'll say. When it comes to PlayStation, I'll platinum it. Moonglow Bay, if you're watching, I'll platinum you when you get to PlayStation. Because, again, I love everything that's happening under the hood. I just put it down.
It's a very well-made game. Like, I recommend it for someone that isn't me because something in me is wrong. But back to the hangover thing. So, you know... And, you know, I'm going to go through, like, my, like, calendar, and then I'd like to know your guys' calendar, because you guys have, like, a wonky calendar, because you're coming in high, and you're leaving high, and you're there, and you're still burning, and, like, it's a whole thing. I was at Summer Game Fest on behalf of MinMax. So I live here already, so I'm already here. That's great. My coworkers came in on Wednesday, and we also had to do a vlog. Like, the vlog was really hammed up because, like, one of our Patreon goals was, like, tied to, like, the Nintendo world. So, like, we always do vlogs, but this vlog was, like, had more weight to it because it's, like, people paid especially for this vlog. So I was like, hey, let's do some vlog content, in and out at night, arcade, you know, went to round 1, whatever. That was the first night for me. So it's, like, it's telling you it's day 0, but whatever. To me, that was, like, kind of the first night.
Sure.
Before we had to work, but, like, they were there. Then the next day was, like, Summer Game Fest, like the showcase, where Jeff's like world premiere, like that thing. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, cool, let's go to Santa Monica because we want to see the beach. We did that. We ate. We were gonna go to the Mix, but the Mix got canceled. Yeah. And then so instead, I'm like, well, I want to still I got to get out there. I got it's once a year kind of thing. Let me go to JW, hang out with people. Had some.
You don't go during Game Awards?
I went during Game Awards, but it's still not the same because like people are like, it's such a bigger event, like for multiple days that like. You'll see different people each day. It's also fair. Less of a tight crowd because like Game Awards, JW, it's like it is people you know, but it's also like a bunch of people you don't like, which is also good because then you can meet more people. But at the same time, it's like, you know, there's teams celebrating with their team. It's like I Crash, you're celebrating. There's people there that lost. You know, they might be a little bit bumped.
You don't want to talk to them.
The energy's a little bit, again, no sad people here. The energy's a little bit different, though. It's like a different crowd. You know, there's like voice actors who like, I'm like, oh, should I say hi to you? You're kind of like doing your thing. It's just like a different vibe for JW at the end of Game Awards. So like, this is kind of different. So anyway, and also not everyone gets invited to that. Like there's way more people invited to SGF, I think that I know, than like Game Awards, where it's like, you kind of need like, a different angle of clout because it's not like content. You're not like, I mean, you maybe make some content off Game Awards, but it's not like you're going to cover Game Awards. You're going to like look pretty and like stand there.
Yeah.
So I drank a bit, and I had an internal. So for me, 1 to 2 beers, I can do that any day, 6 ways to Sunday, all the time. Love alcohol, love to have beer. Cool. 3 to 4 beers. Now we're getting like more of a buzz vibe. And after 4, it's like that's when we start to like that could be a danger zone. So that's like I got that internalized. I got that down packed. I've been drinking for years. I know what to do. So I don't think I drank too many drinks, especially that first night. I really think I maybe had, I don't know, 2 or 3, like nothing crazy at all. The next day I woke up and I'm like, I'm not in fighting form. Like I'm like, I guess the con of drinking less as you get old enough to be like, you know what? I don't want to be drinking all the time. Is you're a little out of shape. So I woke up like day 2 for me. And I was feeling it. I was like, I didn't want to have to pull some of my pockets so early, and I think I even had like, you know, the freaking liquid IV. I'm like, I know I'm gonna drink the liquid IVs every night. I'm doing that already. But I woke up the next day and I'm like, I'm gonna get that. That's why like you're like, oh, why are you here? You're like kind of shaking. And I'm like, I'm just tired. I had an aspirin. I came downtown from where I live in the San Fernando Valley, and that's like a 30-minute drive in a lift going 1,000,000 miles an hour. That's rickety as all hell. I'm getting car sick in the car because I'm prone to getting car sick. I get out and I'm like deeply inhaling the fresh air of SGF. I'm like, don't put me in that room right now. I haven't had coffee yet. My colleagues came with their coffees. I was like, hey, so just fuck me for the coffee then, right? They're like, oh man, I didn't even think about it. I was like, I don't want to hear your sad story. I'm gonna go get my coffee. So, you know, and then every other day was like pretty much fine, except for like I think the Universal Day, which for us was on Monday. That day I was feeling it just from the weight of all of it, and then just the, you know, losing my voice and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of the other days I drank way more than I did that second day because I only had like 2 or 3 drinks that day. But it hit so hard that second day. So what was your schedule? What was your second day? What was in that second day water?
Sure. So we came in on Thursday.
Is it the
late.
same thing that's in the Moonglow Bay water that makes it so that the game just doesn't click? I don't know.
Well, no, the game clicks fine. It's just that I missed it. It wasn't. I wasn't on.
Okay, it's giving like, you not seen in Oceans where it's like, does he make you laugh? He doesn't make me cry. And like Moonglow Bay doesn't make me cry, but I'm not in love, you know?
See, that's Lake. That is Lake. That's Lake.
Okay.
Where I think Moonglow Bay, what cards got stacked against it were, number one, it came out when I wasn't working. So like I wasn't able to talk about it on a podcast, so I couldn't justify it. And then I got a Steam Deck and I played it and I was like, this is great on Steam Deck, but I can say that it's great on Steam Deck and then I can talk about the Steam Deck. I'm not talking about the game. Sure. And so that was the thing of then I got caught up in the next review. Again, Moonglow Bay when it comes to now. Joey's in the chat saying, God, I loved Lake. I loved Lake too. That's the problem. I was not compelled to finish Lake for some reason. Joey, you came in late, Joey. Go keep talking to Ben Starr. We don't have time for this right now. Anyways, what was the question? Oh, my day 2.
Day 2.
So Thursday we came in super late. So I was like, I'm not about to go out and get fucked up. The kids went to the 100 Thieves party or whatever, and they were out for like all hours of the night. I would not. Like, I don't even think they got like wasted. I just think they were out till like 3 a.m. And I'm like, I would have been garbage for all my demos if I was just out, not even drinking. Yeah. So Friday's what got me. Friday, we did that first day. It's awesome. It's celebratory. I've been telling everybody of like, when they talk to me about it, like you're this deep into PS I Love You. You probably know who we are and what we do, right? So it's like, I am not a conceited person, and I don't think about how awesome life is and how many amazing things KindaFunny and Greg Miller do. So it's just like, oh, this is what I do. This is my job. This is my life. So like Friday was that thing of everybody coming up and being like, congratulations. And I was like, what about? And they're like, you're on the WWE show. You're in that was the day the WWE card dropped. They were like, the studio. Oh my God, you're Blessing in the Blessing show. Mike in this. And I was like, oh my God, right. I haven't seen people in a year, and a lot's changed in a year in terms of everything that's happened. So Friday was like, it was just constant positive slime from Ghostbusters 2. I was just fucking on another level of hype. Everything's great. And then we went to Giant Bomb. And when Jeff Grubb had reached out to book us for Giant Bomb, I was like, listen, we get in too late to come Thursday. Saturday's the Xbox mixer, and we go home first thing Sunday. So like Friday's your night if you want us. We'll do whatever you want. And he's like, all right, cool. I'll space you guys all out. So me and Tim were the first segment. Then it was Blessing and Andy, and then it was Mike closing out the show. And there's still other segments in between those. And so I had told him ahead of time, I'm like, cool. I'm just gonna come and we'll just be there all night long. KindaFunny. We'll just come party there all night long. And he's like, awesome. And so I was talking to like Lucy or whatever that morning on Friday. I was like, we're gonna bring beer. And she's like, oh no, we have a bartender. And I was like, oh. Okay. And so I showed up and I was just drinking beers as fast as they could serve them to me. You know what I mean? And like I was like, I'll do Coronas, I'll do Bud Lights or whatever it was.
I will say, can I like interject something? Please. And this isn't like a, you know, you like when you came through for wings, like I had some beers like set up I think I already had maybe like extra beer in my room already that I just like had on hand.
When I came for wings at your house, not at SGF, a long time
ago. At my house, like well, I don't even know. Why were you in town? I don't remember why you were in town, but you were there and you came for wings.
Like Game
Blessing did
Awards?
so too, but separately.
Maybe.
I don't know if it was Game Awards, but
I think it might have been.
Whatever.
It must have been a gig or a demo or something.
No, it was Game Awards because I think you're in the vlog eating the wings at my house
Okay,
for the
fair
Game
enough,
Awards
fair
on
enough.
Minmax. Okay.
Minmax.com, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Even though, does that go anywhere?
I don't know, does it?
Get on that. If it doesn't, does it?
Oh my
Where's it
God.
go?
Okay,
That's
hold on.
so
Chat be cool.
embarrassing. Oh my
Chat be
God,
cool.
okay.
If Minmax.com doesn't go anywhere, we're buying it and directing it to KindaFunny. No, it goes to their site.
Oh
They
my
have
God.
Minmax.com.
That would be so fun. They do have one?
They do, yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank God.
You're on the front page. What is Minmax? There you are.
Oh, great. Yes, Minmax.com. I was like so scared for a second. I'm like, God, is that a website? Yeah, like when you came through, like you drank really fast, and you're also like 8 feet taller than me. So like I just forget that like what it's like up there when you can drink beers. So when you say like, oh, I was pounding them back, I was like, yeah, like I feel like you could take a 15-pack all day IPA which is a low ABV beer, and just be done with it in like 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm driving home tonight, like when we finish this show, so I am slowing down here on the second beer, right? Where I'm like, 2 sounds about right. That's where I'll stop tonight.
Yeah, I spilled that beer on purpose a little bit, you know?
Barrett always looking out for me. I
I'm
appreciate
always
that.
looking out for you. Man, I wish I could have fucking drank my ass off with you all night for that
Giant
Friday.
Bomb?
Yeah, that's
It was great.
Yeah.
That's why.
But
you
it was
gotta
then
be
I
there.
got
You're
home and it was like,
talent.
I did the
you
same
could
thing.
Just stumble onto the stage.
Shove a bunch of liquid IV in this, chug it, do all that stuff. And I woke up and I was like, oh, it like, this is not a top 10 hangover. I just woke up and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to keep sleeping. And I eventually got up, I got ready. We got in a car. The Uber driver wanted to talk about Top Shot because when he found out we were in video games, he's like, oh, I played the fucking golf game with the ball. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And we talked about that for a little bit.
Sure.
And then we got there and I went and took my first demo. It was Little Kitty, Big City.
Man, how was that?
It was good.
So is it PlayStation?
Huh?
Is it a PlayStation game?
It is a PlayStation game. Yeah,
Okay, great. How was that?
It was
Wait,
great.
don't tell me what it
I
was.
mean,
Yes.
you know, full disclosure, it's a Pop Agenda represented game. So, of course, my wife works at Pop Agenda, yada, yada, yada. But no, if you don't know their PR, they're not making the game. They just help people publish their games. Anyways, though, it was great. It's part, of course, of our GDC showcase if you want to see it. But it honestly, playing it is what I wanted Stray to be, where it is like, it's a cartoon cat simulator, but it's a cat simulator, right? So it is, you know, how do you jump up? You look at the thing, you're like, I got to get up there and get the shiny. So you're like, okay. You start making the jump as the cat, you get up there. And then it's like, okay, cool. You got to bat things down. And like, I think it's right trigger is your right paw and your left trigger. It's like, you knock the shit down. And then like, you meet a crow who wants this and you meet a thing that wants that. And you got to figure out how you're going to get these birds, but you need to get bread to bait the birds. So you got to run in.
So a little bit Untitled Goose Game, but less mean. But you're a cat.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and so it's like,
yeah.
okay, cool. Like, I appreciate what's going on here. I am enjoying this, and like the cat's got a personality and is talking. It's like, it's a fun indie game, and I think it's cute. And I was like, I'm looking forward to this. This is a cat game I'd like to play. Anyways, though, I finished that demo and I was like, thank you very much. Blah, blah, and I was like, I have to get outside. And it wasn't that I was gonna puke or anything, but I was just like, I think my problem was I came in, hadn't drank enough water in the morning, and went right to a coffee. And it was like, and I went outside and I had eaten like a breakfast burrito from Starbucks like an hour before, but I still ordered from the Souvlaka truck or whatever. I'm like, I need something else right now that's a little bit more greasy or something like that to get in there.
That's why I got in line for that bad pizza. I knew that pizza would be bad when I got in the line, but I'm like, you know what would hit right now? Something kind of disgusting. And that's why day one, Friday, I'm like, that pizza did exactly what I need to do. It looks terrible. I have Instagrammed it on our stories. I'm like, it looks terrible. It was terrible. But you know what? It played a role, and it played its role well. So like, there you go. But yeah, I don't know what it was. I think it was just also acclimating to the all of everything. Like was a fantastic couple days of SGF and also like surrounding SGF stuff. But it also was like a lot to put oneself through. You know, it's a little bit strenuous. So it's like, and it's funny because little things would happen. You know, I lost my voice, and we had Leo Vader got a little bit sick on one of the days, like a weird stomach. He wasn't even drinking. Like it was just, you know, something went down, and we're like, it's one of those things where if you're ever not feeling well, it's so funny to even think about what it could be. It's like, what could it be? Is it the working like 8 hours and then staying up all day and not sleeping at night and then waking up again and being in a 1,000 different cars with 1,000 different drivers going 1,000,000 miles an hour? Could it be the Frito pie we ate at the Xbox Fan Fest? Did that not sit right? It's like, yeah,
all of these are plausible reasons I would feel like garbage right now.
I know. And you try to like fight, and I think my team and myself like did a good job fighting things off. Like I think our water consumption was really good. I was drinking like an an Airborne every morning. I was drinking the liquid IVs every night. Like, it was as good as it could be for my first go. Next year, definitely trying to yell less. Definitely trying to drink some throat coat, get ahead of it.
Here's the thing, or you just get in, and this is going to sound insulting, but stick with me. You get in shouting shape. Because it was the thing that when I started using the
like vocal trainings or something.
I'm a loud guy. I've always been a loud guy. It's why I'm deaf. I was an antler in college. I screamed at basketball games, yada, yada, yada. But it was that thing I was never used to consistently. And I would go to an E3. I would go to a Comic-Con. And by that day 3, my voice would be failing. But eventually I just beat it out of my fucking vocal cords. And look at me now. I can scream all day long.
Warm-ups go a long way.
Rubber baby, rubber baby, bubble.
Yeah, I'm going to, I want to just work on that. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not literally my fault, but it's like, okay, well, how can I help prevent this better? Whether that's just training up on it.
DG Mayer says, whatever. Janet, your voice is actually sounding better as the show goes on. See, you're getting loose.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you going to Vocal Warm-Ups, which was the Min-Max podcast, to come here and do this podcast, which of course is supported by you on patreon.com/kindafunny. Over on patreon.com/kindafunny, you, of course, can be watching live just like Cameron, DG, Madeline, being part of the show and hanging out with us. You could get each and every podcast early, watch it live as we record it, get it ad-free, and of course, get dozens and dozens. And if you've never supported before, hundreds and hundreds of exclusive shows only on patreon.com/kindafunny. You keep the mics and lights on. But guess what? You currently aren't on patreon.com/kindafunny. So here's a word from our sponsor.
Shout out to Rocket Money for sponsoring this episode. We all love gobbling up content, and we have an understanding of what subscriptions we use, or do we? Do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? Most Americans think that they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions when the actual total is closer to $200 plus. You could be wasting hundreds of dollars each and every month on subscriptions that you don't even know about. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors spending and it helps you lower your bills all in one place. Rocket Money has saved some of us here at Kinda Funny a ton of money, and it can help you too. Rocket Money also helps you manage all your finance in one place and automatically can help you categorize your expenses so you can easily track your budget in real time. So stop throwing your money away. You can cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. That's rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. rocketmoney.com/kindafunny.
Janet, since you were last on, since you've been gone,
I can't breathe for the first time.
a little game called Spider-Man 2 was revealed.
Yeah.
Not only revealed, gameplay shown, a huge demo, Kraven, symbiote suit, yada, yada, yada. We found out, of course, it's coming October 20th, which those two things did not happen on the same day, believe it or not. We saw a collector's edition get announced. We had all sorts of information. We found out that, of course, the story will switch us between Miles and Peter as it sees fit. In the open world, we'll be able to do it. There will be one skill tree shared by both Spider-Men. There will be individual skill. What? I haven't talked to you at all, period, at all, about Spider-Man 2. Based on all the information we've gotten, how are you feeling about it?
I feel excited to check out, especially the weird Venom stuff. I think it's going to be the coolest thing.
Yeah.
It was great seeing the gameplay. It showed the way I expected it to, based on, we've been through this before, right? It's not our first rodeo looking at a Spider-Man game before it comes out in the modern era. That post PS4 2018 kind of time. Yeah. And it's it's gonna, we kind of talked about it a lot on our predictions episode, right? I'm like, it's gonna hit. They're gonna have this big, cool set piece that is similar to the bridge thing or whatever. I think it is kind of funny that we are sort of, and we've been here for a while, a little bit in that era where but this time you also play as this other person. Is very much a talking point of many games. We had that with it's kind of weird because some of those things are this is the first time not the first time, but this is one of the times we have it where it's now just told to us ahead of time and not a surprise, I guess.
Sure.
We're entering the 2-character protagonist, but it's not a spoiler territory of this, because we've had the spoiler versions of that a lot. Now we have this, Alan Wake 2 also has a 2 protagonist kind of thing. Hopefully it'll be double the people, double the fun. I don't really know. I like the idea of some aspects of things being shared, and I'm excited to play it, I feel like there's enough fresh stuff there that it's going to be exciting in its own way. That's how I hope to feel about it. I think I'm kind of getting a little bit hotter on the idea of this Spider-Man 2 now that I'm digging more into Spider-Man Miles Morales and really starting to appreciate the nuances of that combat there. So, yeah, I'm excited for this. I did feel like the reveal of the big gameplay thing at PlayStation Showcase was a bit long in the tooth at a certain point.
Really?
I was like, it all looks great, but I'm kind of like, I think too, in general, and you guys talked about it already, it was not the best showcase either. So it was kind of like, all right, like I could lose some of this stuff. The flying stuff though is super cool.
Look, if you're an audio listener watching the demo right now as it goes, and we just went through the Miles flying.
Like everything in it looked cool, but it was just a long amount of time. I think it was even ahead of the long time I predicted, which was like, I think I predicted like 6 minutes or something. It might have been longer than that. So
Barrett, how long is this?
I'm not sure.
This is 12 and a half minutes.
That's so long. Come on. That's like a really long time.
And that's with the Craven stuff at the very beginning as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
And like, if this was, and again, it's kind of funny to be like, well, I know there are fans that appreciate that kind of detail. And I'm not saying that kind of detail isn't appropriate, but that's the kind of detail I normally see in something closer to like a Spider-Man Direct or something, where you make that even just like a smidge longer just to like add it. That's when you throw in maybe the extra stuff. So,
well, I mean, back to what you said and what
we
we've talked about on this very show, right? When we did our post-show reactions, it was the fact that I think it was a disappointing showcase. And so like, this was it for, a lot of intents and purposes, it was a Spider-Man Direct, right? It was going to be like, this is the big cannon. This is the big gun we're bringing out. Let's let it ride. And I think there is something to it of like, you need to show that not only is it not just Spider-Man again, it is that Peter and Miles feel different. This looks better. This is X, Y, and Z. It's built from the ground up for PlayStation, et cetera, so on, or PlayStation 5. And I think they did that. Like, I still look at it and I'm like, okay, cool. I can't wait. I made a point on my Alan Wake preview that I put up on TikTok and the Kind of Funny socials to say, Alan Wake 2 is now my most anticipated game. I'm sorry, Spider-Man, you better bring it. And I did get a few people from Insomniac hitting me up privately, being like, oh, really? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I can't fucking wait. Are you kidding me? More Spider-Man, Black Suit, Venom, like, I can't wait. But even this demo, it's like, cool. This looks like that. I think we did our whole predictions and what we talked about what the gameplay would look like. And this is what the gameplay looks like, which there's a great thing I've been sending around because it's what we say all the time, but it was a Jerry Seinfeld bit of him talking to another comedian from Comedians Getting Coffee, right? Sure. And it was the thing of like, it was good. It didn't blow me away. And he's like, why does everybody want to be blown away? Suddenly that's a negative if you're not blown away. And then they do a whole thing about it. But it's like, it is that idea of like, people expect to see stuff they've never seen before. And I look at this and I'm like, this looks awesome. But this doesn't look like I've never played a Spider-Man game before. And like, that's good and bad, right? Where it's like, I can't fucking wait. I love Spider-Man games. But even, Yuri's performance being influenced by the black suit and being more angry and stuff, it's like, yeah, I've seen that. I know what that's going to be like. And like for them, what gets exciting for me is they were talking, in the many interviews with Jeff and like the comments that have come here and there and little things of like, the fact that they wanted to do something different here that's never been seen before. Their Venom is not Eddie Brock. So there has been conversations. Is that Craven? Is that Miles? And like, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's happened. It's like, yeah. But like, what does that mean to Insomniac that's never been seen before? Which leads me to a question, Janet. Josh Koopstra wrote in to kindafunny.com/PSILY, just like you can, and says, spoilers, I guess, for Spider-Man. You can leave it up, Bear, because it's a Spider-Man question. In the way Insomniac hid Doc Ock from the Spider-Man 2018 marketing, do you think they are hiding what will end up being a major part of the Spider-Man 2 story? Or is it really just going to focus on Venom / the symbiote and Craven? Janet, do you think there's more going on under the hood?
Yeah, I think for sure. And my kind of hint at that is when we watch the SGF, like, is it called just SGF Showcase? What is the name for that stream? I don't want to.
I think it's just Showcase.
Right?
Summer Game Fest Showcase, yeah.
Yeah, some of the branding gets a little
Was it Summer Game Fest Live? Was that what they call it?
Maybe.
No, that's Opening Night Live.
Oh, okay. See, here's the thing. The name needs to be better because I don't know what it is. And it feels like it should be intuitive. But
hey, you're saying Summer Game Fest Showcase over and over again? Or Summer Game Fest. That's all they care about.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. And like, anyway, but the thing where
a digital showcase, what they called it. Yeah.
The thing when Nicolas Cage was at, right?
Yeah.
When we were looking at that and they showed the key art and they gave the release date. Like one of the questions was like, oh, like will it just be kind of like that question? Will it just be that, or is there more? And they're like, there's more. There's a lot of stuff, but we don't want to say what it is.
Of course.
So I definitely think it'll be pretty loaded up. Whether or not those things will have a narrative payoff that feels super significant remains to be seen. But yeah, I think there'll definitely be like more. There'll be some twists and things. And I'm looking forward to them kind of carving their own way a little bit, with it being their own like take on Venom or not take on Venom, but their own thing.
That's what they've said.
But back to your point with the so that's my answer to the question. And then back to your point with the anticipation where it's like Alan Wake 2 versus Spider-Man 2, which is such a weird comparison because they're very different games. But there's also that thing where, and I love Spider-Man a lot, and Spider-Man I think is, at least for the cell, like very easily a better game than like Horizon. Like I stand Horizon, but I think Spider-Man's a better franchise. Like the games are better. However, much like the complaint a lot of people lobby against Horizon, like it's almost like they're fantastic games. They're incredibly well made. Like looking at the footage that Bear has up now, like wow, the set pieces are just so beautiful. It's so impressive what they pulled off. And yet you kind of lose a little bit with how rounded the edges are too. It's like, am I going to get something? I would love for this game to have something that we can debate on whether or not it's good or that we liked it.
Sure.
Something that's a little bit more
Last of Us Part 2.
something that's a little bit more daring and spicy. And like, I don't need to be like something so like debatably bad that it kind of like low-key sucks, but it's so agreeable that I think it's kind of almost like what keeps it from that extra height is like, it's like, I need a little bit of edge here. Something that like, that I walk away with other than like the polish and the fun. Not that the polish and the fun isn't good. Like this is going to be an 8, if not a 9. Easy money on that.
Yeah, easy,
It's going to be a great time. And I'm really excited to play it. Like I like playing every Spider-Man game, but that's kind of the thing I sort of find myself desiring from it. And like, for this case, will it be the narrative? It's possible. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I hope Spider-Man and Miles beat the shit out of each other at one point in this game. That's what I'm
100%. You know that's going to happen. I've been predicting that since day one. Barrett?
Yeah, that's one of my theories. Just like been thinking about it. Of like, I think we're gonna get the traditional Peter has the black suit, and then it gets too much for him, and then it goes somebody else, and that's what Venom becomes, right? But I do wonder if that extra step, right? Because I'm thinking about, like Doc Ock was like a hidden thing until you like played it, and then you get that phone call in like the first 15 minutes from Otto, and you're like, holy shit, he's in the game.
Yeah.
And then they build him to the final thing. And obviously in this gameplay stuff that we saw here at the very end, a little bit of tension between Miles and Peter because Peter's wearing the symbiote suit, or whatever they're going to call it here, because I don't think it's going to be a traditional alien goop like we've seen traditionally with Venom before. Probably a little bit more like the Ultimate Venom stuff. I do wonder if Peter, once they defeat Venom in like a moment of weakness, right? He feels like he needs to get it back to save somebody or another, and then the end is not like Peter and Miles teaming up to face off of a big bad. The real big kind of emotional end is Miles and Peter having to fight each other, and there you could get into like the very interesting of like a debate of what side are you on with Peter and Miles, and that conversation, just to bring it back to something a little bit more emotional, which, as we know from both Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales, they do like to kind of end on, and those are some of the best Spider-Man stories, are when it ends on such an emotional gut punch.
Sure. I mean, that's what, Bill Roseman from Marvel Games talks about all the time, right? The best Spider-Man stories are ones that are the threat or whatever is the conflict is both Peter and Spider-Man's, right? So you imagine it's got to be Miles's as well, which would be Spider-Man Peter versus Spider-Man Miles. And then, you want to get crazy, maybe we kill Peter. We just move on as Miles.
Maybe.
I would love to be able to, at the end, if they fight each other, like for the climax or the ending, but you choose like which one you're playing as for that.
Ooh,
it's like what side
fun.
are you, kind of what your ending is, like that. Like kind of, well, it's funny. I want to nod to another game that has a similar vibe, but it is inherently a spoiler for that game.
Star Wars Revenge of the Sith.
Infamous 2.
If you know, you know. That's kind of literally it, because you won't know. I don't know. Like tweet
Not
at me or something if you
1-to-1,
don't know
but
what it is.
Spider-Man Web of Shadows.
Tear Wolverine in half, no big deal. So here's a question I have for you, Jan, about Spider-Man 2 then. So obviously a big old open world game.
Mm-hmm.
A big old skill tree to do it. You're getting all these cool symbiote powers and stuff. How do you think you handle, you've rolled credits, you're dropped back in New York? Do you think they're going to reset? Like, that's like the really nerdy, weird shit that I get caught up on of like, so how they've talked so much about the symbiote and the power tree for him or for it. So it's like, how do you do that and then not have it just be that you're, I don't want them to pull the Spider-Man 3 movie shit where suddenly we get Venom and it's super rushed and it's just off to the races with it.
Sure.
Like, I want it to build, but I also then know if I'm investing in this, clearly it's gonna be hours and hours of it.
Oh, like if you like sort of like, are you saying like when you end the game, like how do they justify that you're still there?
Yeah,
Like,
you think?
if you're-
Do you
oh,
think
like,
it's that like they just like, okay, cool, ignore everything, you have the symbiote and you're going, or is it before credits? But if it's before credits, then what the fuck's going on with Venom?
I think it's maybe ignore everything and they drop you back. They do the narrative drop back. Like you ever, like, you know, those games where
Like, it's every Zelda game, essentially. Like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are most known for it, but like every Zelda game, it's like if you go back, it'll drop you right before the last story beat.
Yes, and also that's literally.
But
every
here's,
Zelda game,
do you
that's
really
why
think
Mish
that's what they're
probably
gonna
did
do? Like we don't
Yeah,
get
why
Venom
not?
until like the final hour of the game?
Oh no. Oh, well,
I mean, like,
See what
how
I'm
they're
saying?
gonna
Because if there's a
justify your
if
thing.
Venom's there, if we have
Sure.
Venom, the symbiote theoretically has to have leaped, unless I guess again this is a new world. They're doing their own thing. You know, he's wearing the symbiote. Is Harry's symbiote able to replicate in something to that regard? So maybe to
that's
split.
a pickle right there.
Right?
Like, you know
man.
what? You can't get the platinum in this game. It was too complicated. It's like, because I get what you mean. Like, it's like if things go a certain way and the narrative impacts that aspect of the skill tree, how would you then be going back and play? Yeah, I don't know.
In the chat, Anthony Corbett says they will just make the powers translate to different thing like tech.
I mean,
A
that seems
synthetic
complicated
symbiote.
too, though. You got to like build an extra thing just to justify the narrative aspect of it, and then I think it kind of takes away from like.
Dumb
the
says
gravity
Venom
of
is
what the
post credits.
yeah, it
Shows up
is.
for 5 minutes.
no shot.
We fucking riot if that's what happens.
But also, he's in key art and shit. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's
Ooh,
not happening.
Omega Buster points out anti-venom. Ooh, that's good. That's
that is
real good,
good.
actually.
That is good.
Symbiote jumps, but they've done something to make an anti-venom suit. Put that on
And
Peter.
maybe there's a little bit in the kind of main story beats, open world, where you don't have the Venom skill tree anymore, but then Peter
That I
gets
expect.
to a point, and then, we got to build this thing with Miles, and yeah, that's really
Yeah,
good,
that
the
makes no
anti-venom.
sense.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I
like
like
it.
that.
Because you have to
I
just
like that.
you gotta bring it back to like justifying the gameplay part, which it's almost like I feel like this is the mechanical equivalent of when pausing the movie is spoilers for the movie because you see how long the movie
Yeah,
was
yeah,
left.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's like, but yeah, I'm sure they were able to pull that off in a way that doesn't feel odd. But yeah, the anti-venom idea seems like the most plausible. I
So
think,
then my
for
question
narrative and mechanics.
I would have had for you, but my dog Nick96 in the chat says, will Miles in this game ever get the symbiote, Janet?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
At least not for long. Like maybe he gets it and then is like, nah, fuck this or something. I don't know. Because I feel like the way it's set up, it seems very like Miles v. Peter. Even if they end up not fighting, like I guess it's kind of just like the assumption of what's gonna happen. But I feel like that's what in kind of like Cameron is mentioning. I doubt Miles gets symbiote only because he has his own bioelectric powers. That's lots of balance. Yeah, that's kind of my thing too. I feel like they're playing these sort of separate roles, and I don't see them crossing over in a way that's like too long-standing.
I could see it as a story beat only,
Yeah.
where it's like in
That's
a
what I
story
mean.
sequence where like
It could
he
even be-
accidentally gets some on him, and then he sees like, yo, Peter, this is what this is doing to you,
Exactly.
and then instead for one story mission, you have the Venom powers as Miles instead.
That can be
of
the thing to wake Peter
electric-
up out of it, right?
Yeah.
Where Peter
Yeah.
realizes something's wrong because he sees Miles get corrupted by it or whatever.
Yeah.
Fascinating in here too. I like this one from Royal Martin who says, I mean, we built a suit for Doc Ock. We could build a suit for Venom, which could then be the anti-venom suit, which is really interesting and keep your
Yeah.
powers along that. And then DG Mayer says, see, talk about it for 10 minutes and you're excited again, lol. I was never not excited for Spider-Man.
thing.
Don't
I can't
twist it.
believe you already hate Spider-Man 2, Greg.
Listen,
You know what?
I
This
hate
is good.
Spider-Man 2 just like
Wait
Blessing
till you
hates
play
Miles
it.
Morales,
We
all
gotta
right?
pass the buck. Every game, someone has to fall on the I hate Spider-Man 2 sword, even though I don't hate it. I just have criticisms. That's like and now it's your turn. It's gone.
Damn,
That is
fuck.
our symbiote suit.
I hate
it. Just
that.
keeps attaching on to other people.
That's what hops between all of us.
Catch me, Spider-Man 3. I'm like, you know what? I didn't feel it. Like, you know. But no, genuinely,
I can't fucking wait.
I think too. It's like you got to be able to dish it out somewhat. God, what's the word? Not objectively, but like kind of, right? It's like if I can't talk about the repetition of like Ratchet and Clank and the repetition of Horizon, all these other franchises without. I mean, come on, like you kind of have to. Spider-Man's got to fall into that bit a little bit. Now, I'm still excited to do it because it's always fun. But again, when we talk about it in the context of everything else coming out, sometimes fun isn't enough, which I know is like a very, well, only a critic would say that. Well, guess what? Like, that's what the show is. You know what I mean? Like,
well, hold on. I want to double down on that. I know we're getting long in the tooth here. I want to come back to that one of like sometimes it's just fun. Is that good enough? So stick with that idea, but put a pin in it because I do want this one final Spider-Man question that I liked. Strem CL writes in and says, "Why is the collector's edition for Spider-Man 2 exclusive to the PlayStation Store? I know you could find Ragnarok and Forbidden West collector's editions in stores. I don't see the decision to keep Spider-Man 2 collector's edition exclusive to the PlayStation Store." Strem CL, this is for money. PlayStation would like all the money, and they don't want to share it with a Best Buy or a GameStop. So they're going to take a game they know is going to sell a gajillion units, that they know is iconic to people far and wide outside of the video game industry, and say, would you like this really cool Venom statue that has Spider-Man and goddamn Miles Morales fighting it? You'll have to come to us and give us your email so we can direct market all the fucking t-shirts and water bottles and everything else we're going to do. That's the reason right there. That's the answer. Janet, the question.
They haven't announced the other places yet, but that seems less likely because it seems like.
Yeah, that was the thing. When I read this question, that you actually kind of, no offense, no offense, that's kudos to you, I guess, Strem CL, tipped that off to me where I was like, really? And then because we've met at SGF, so I went back and read the blog post. I'm like, yeah, they do say, exclusive to the PlayStation Direct and retailers in other areas or whatever, but they're talking about
PlayStation and their exclusives. Sometimes they take it too far.
You know what I mean? God dang, when's the FTC gonna go after this? Like they do the Xbox deal, all right? Don't worry about Activision Blizzard. I need to get this, what I can only assume will be a cheap Venom statue everywhere else.
I feel bad for someone who, and I'm not like poo-pooing these statues because I've been tempted by some of these myself, but I can think about, is someone like out there, like, because I think about all the games that like I like that have these, which are a lot of them. Like, what if they bought all of them? Like, where are you putting them all? Like, how many cat shelves do you have? Like, that seems rough. But anyway, you were gonna ask something.
Janet, do you keep your boxes?
I try not to.
Okay.
But sometimes I do.
Okay, fair enough.
Do you keep your boxes?
No, not anymore.
Well, you tear them open.
That was a Midwest thing.
That's a thing also in my house now. I'll open these boxes. I wish I still had it on me. I had a Cliff Bar box that I opened like an animal. And whenever I open it like not properly, Isaiah will be like, what is this Greg Miller package opening going on? I'm like, you know what? He's right. Sometimes you got to tear into it. That's my symbiote moment. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like this guy's making a lot of sense. Just rip the box in half. Like, who cares?
Listen, I love the spare bedroom. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll never be able to thank you enough for giving us this amazing space. Obviously, I've loved to see the creativity coming out of it. When Barrett does a video essay, when Blessing does the Blessing show, we film This Is Awesome in it. It's incredible to be together each and every day. The number one thing I love the most about the KindaFunny spare bedroom is I don't have all these goddamn cardboard boxes piling up at my house anymore. The fucking money I wasted on 1-800-GOT-JUNK of just like, it's out of control. I got a fucking, some video game person sent me a wooden crate filled with shit, and it's got that goddamn fucking confetti styrofoam paper everywhere. Now, I just walk to Cool Greg's desk, I put it there, and I say, God bless. God bless Cool Greg. The question I want to end on, Janet Garcia, is this.
Sure.
Michael writes in to kindafunny.com/PSILY and says, we've had a ton of great games come out this year. Also, so many great-looking games were shown at SGF. I ask this semi-seriously. Are there too many games? Is this perhaps because the delayed COVID-era games are coming out this year? Or is it some other change in the industry? Janet Garcia, noted video game commentator. Are there too many video games?
There have always been too many video games. Except for maybe the very beginning when there was like, you could collect for the N64 and there was like, I don't know what, 80 games or something.
Sure.
But even then, the games were stupid expensive. Like at one point, like you were getting those cartridges for like freaking $80, which back then was maybe like, I don't know, 120. I don't know math. I'm not an economist, you know? I didn't go to
with inflation, games are cheaper than ever. It's like, shut the fuck up.
It's like, I don't know, man. It's like they cost what it costs and I have what I have. But, you know, other than those like really beginning days, I think there's always been too many games, but it's not a bad thing necessarily either. It's tough for our job and it's tough to be a fan in the sense that if you're someone like us who has our sensibilities, there's a lot of so many. But yeah, so for God, what was that number? 2014. That's actually a little later than I would have thought for when I felt like there were too many games. But yeah, like you're never gonna play them all, and these are just games that are like the big deal games. I think that's more maybe what the question. Are there too many maybe like big AAA like obvious picks?
See, I go the opposite way with it.
Dig in.
Where
there's too few games. You're like, hurry up.
No. With the big games part, you were just making the argument you're making, Janet. It's that idea that I always say it, and I know if you listen to everything, you hear everything. So I'm sorry, I tell you the same stories. But like 2007, when I started at IGN, and well into my run as a PlayStation 3 PSP editor, you could legitimately play everything and not roll credits on it, but play enough of like the biggest thing, the thing you need to talk about. What I always cite is that, I remember renting a bedroom when I first moved here in 2007 that had an air mattress, my shitty TV, and my PS2. And I would come home and I would play Guitar Hero, and then eventually they released Super Mario or Super Paper Mario or Paper Mario, whatever the Wii Paper Mario was. And I played all the way through that. And it was that thing of like, there was nothing else notable new to play. Now, granted, I should have gone backwards and played from IGN's extensive library of every game in existence, gone and filled in gaps. But instead, I played new stuff, contemporary stuff. And it was that idea that, like, I remember being at IGN when it was, there's 3 weeks and there's nothing of note coming out. There's nothing to worry about, right? So we have to generate features and do whatever and yada, yada. Whereas now it is an embarrassment of riches, where it is like the games I'm currently ignoring review codes for to play more Diablo. Or in the case of this podcast today, it was like I had scheduled out my time to play Redacted so that I could, be part of whatever the next 2-3 weeks of Gamescast. But then it was like, well, do they need my voice on that? No. So I will play Dawn. I will do this. This is a game I'm interested in. I think that I'll make good content. And it's like, you have to make these choices that are very weird of like, all right, cool. If you miss the boat on it, and this is our specific jobs, you miss the boat on it, then it's gone. However, you can extrapolate the other way with it of like, that's our jobs of playing things for review embargoes, sure, but it also happens with you, the consumer, right? Like, if you went off and you bought the Ultimate Edition of Diablo or just the $70 edition of Diablo, you want to get your $70 out. And I am fucking insanely in love with that game. Jen and I play it every night. I'm so happy with that. But it's like, getting in the way of me playing other things, right? At work, I can play what I need to review or use for content. At home, I would usually play, I still haven't played the Viewfinder demo, right? Because that's something I would do at home usually when Jen goes to bed, but Jen doesn't go to bed because she plays Diablo with me all the time now. And it's like a great thing for my life, but stuff like you start getting into how this year's been, that every other week seems to have a game of the year contender. Like, it's outrageous. And is that a bad thing? Are there too many games? No. Like, as many games as the market will support is great. It does suck for things like Dawn, and this is just the example of this week. There's an example of this every week, I'm sure. But like, I had been tweeting and talking about Dawn for so long, and I mean for months back when they announced it, that when we finally got close to review, and me and Jen were tweeting every night about Diablo, they quietly responded on publicly, which is like, cool, but don't forget to play our game. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's where it's at. Of like, if you're a small game, how do you compete with this?
And I think too, like, I mean, there are bigger games. Like, this is probably the least I've played games in a way, because I'm trying to like, there's like too much to pay attention to, and it's like you're really like behind on some things, and like some things you just have to let go. It's like I'm looking at my like stuff, and I'm like, man, I really gotta do my best of article, because I skipped the first 3 months because I'm like, I don't want to do it because I didn't beat enough games. But guess what? Those games are still not finished. So I should have just written it, is what I realized. But that's usually the case. Usually the case is you should just write something, because you're never going to have enough time to do it the way you want to do it fully.
Yeah.
But I still haven't finished Resident Evil 4. I still haven't finished.
I haven't even started RE4. I wasn't on the review, so I'm like, I'll get to it later. When's later coming?
And I mean, I think that is the beauty, though, of having like teams and also different outlets too, for sure. Like, as a consumer, you obviously like won't play everything, and you miss a lot of things you want to play. But I always joke on Twitch, especially because I do my Friday streams where I'm playing something new like every Friday, sometimes 2 things new. So like, that's kind of where I think Resident Evil maybe landed in, where it's like I get 2 hours in because that's what my stream was, and I haven't played since. Same with Diablo. Like, I started that on a whim and I actually really liked it, and I'll probably play that more because I think it'll be a me and Isaiah game if he ends up liking it. So that'll be fun. But at the same time, it's like I got all this other stuff going on, and then the list of things dropped is breathing down my neck in the future. But like, I always joke on stream that like I play games so you don't have to, and obviously we all like games, but at the same time, it's like you're not gonna be able to play everything. So at least you can kind of get a sense and get a taste of things a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot out, and I was doing a good job keeping up with some stuff. But then, like, you know, I'm glad I beat Dead Space and stuff like that. But it's like there's also all this other stuff. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot out. But at the same time, like you said, as long as the market can continue to support it, it's cool. It gives people options. And it's like this right now. It's not going to be like this every year. Like, things, and that's why like always push back on people being like, how would you say blank's not a great year for games? I played 9 great games or 30. It's like, yeah, you can do that every year if you really try to. It's just that some of them, they might be more known than other years.
Yeah.
But like, it's about these years where it's like, it feels like a suffocating amount of content, or like there's so many like game of the year contenders that you can barely even like get through them all like that. Again, not a PlayStation game, but like Hi-Fi Rush came out this year. Like I still haven't finished that. You know, it's like there's so much good stuff coming out of every single avenue of platform and things that
again,
like years like this are really incredible for games and on another level.
It's the job for sure. But even if I was on the outside and I was trying to support like video game developers like you are, it sucks to enjoy a game as much like enjoy a game like Diablo so much that I feel like I'm neglecting other games. You know what I mean? Like I know that doesn't matter in the long run, but for me it does, where I'm just like, man, X, Y, and Z are starting to pile up. And like, again, arguably not even great games, right? Where it's like this, your PlayStation picks this week and the drop this week includes Doordown, like I was talking about, Layers of Fear, the one that came out, and then the Grey Hill Incident, which I was super excited for. Grey Hill Incident, which is the aliens, found footage aliens game of like, the big old bug eyes, X-Files guys coming. And I saw IGN give it a 3 out of 10. And I was like,
oh no,
listen, that still doesn't dissuade me, because I'd love to play just a goofy ass, but it's like, that's just sitting on my PlayStation of like, I see it there and I haven't clicked on the title to actually play it yet.
Right.
And there's a million other good games are inarguably that have better Metacritics that I haven't touched as well. But it's like, it's such a God thing. But it's like, look, like if you're watching,
it does look cool.
It's that thing where it's like,
oh man,
listen, I've played,
cool.
I say this all the time, and I'm never trying to be the guy in an ivory tower talking down. It's just like, I've played so many shitty horror games that you find fun in, because horror is a weird genre in movies, let alone in games, that like, I look at this trailer and I'm still like, let's go. Let's go.
It's also one of those things where like, you talk about being like the horror guy, like when you really like a genre, like you can put up with a lot. Like that's like me with platformers, and to a degree story games, where it's like, maybe for the story ones I don't stick all the way through, it's a little bit harder to play a bad story game than a bad platformer. But like, I was out here playing freaking Clive and Wrench, a game that everyone gave like a 3 or a 4, and I'm like, it's not good, but at the same time, like, it's kind of hitting. Like, is anyone else loving this Clive and Wrench game? And yeah, it's a little bit like that. I still have that understanding of separating myself from my own genre adoration to be like, yeah, Clive and Wrench is not a game I recommend to anybody unless you're a sick like me. And there's a lot of sickos like that, so we need that in the community too. Like, if that's your lane, then that's gonna resonate with you. But yeah, 100%. Well, if you do play it, let me know what you think.
I will. That's happening.
Hell yeah.
And maybe it'll be I play an hour of like, yeah, no, IGN's right. This is trash.
Why not?
I
you
fall
could
through
be
the floor.
being
This
a
doesn't look
change,
at Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a Rick Rowland episode of P.S. I Love You XOXO, where I drink beer and Janet drinks non-alcoholic beer. If you enjoyed it, please consider going over to patreon.com/kindafunny. Over on patreon.com/kindafunny, you can help keep us independent. You, of course, can get hundreds of bonus episodes of content if you've never supported us before. You can watch podcasts like P.S. I Love You ad-free and live as we record them. Of course, you can get the shows on demand ad-free as well. And of course, you could just get cool merch drops and fun physical items and all sorts of stuff only on patreon.com/kindafunny. If you have no bucks to toss our way, no big deal. The easiest way to support us, of course, is to go to youtube.com/kindafunnygames or podcast services around the globe. Like, subscribe, share, leave a review. That's right. If you're using Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pop on in there, do that. If you are buying I get this all the time. Greg, what's a great way to support you guys for free? You are buying video games. You are watching the show. Go to amazon.com/summergamefest and buy games through that. It really helps us out. And of course, no matter what, tell your friends about it. Have some fun. Get out there and enjoy yourself. Janet, thank you so much for this fun episode. I'm kind of depressed that Blessing will be back next week to drag us down.
This is what makes it all the more special. So thanks for having me.
Exactly. Always a pleasure. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.